Hi, this is Chewy and welcome to this edition of Sub 250 Quads. Today we're going to look at replacing the gimbals on the FrSky Taranis Plus with an upgraded version that sport 4 bearings as well as Hall sensors. That should provide both smoother and more precise movement. I've heard some really good things about these gimbals and I'm looking forward to giving them a try. Let's start by having a look inside the box to see what's included. We have the gimbal assembly itself, and I can tell it's a quality unit, metal casing. We have the wiring harness, and there are a number of adjustments which we'll cover off later on in the video. There's also a screw package, and these are going to be important because the stock screws on the current gimbal set won't work with the metal housing of the newer gimbals. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to need to do is remove the battery. So we'll go ahead and remove the battery compartment cover, lift out the battery and unplug it, and put that off to the side, and we'll reinstall that later. We'll also want to remove the 4 screws that hold in each of the current gimbals. That will just make things easier once we remove the back cover off the unit. To do that, you're going to need a 2.5mm hex screw. I'll go ahead and remove those now. With the gimbal screws removed, we'll want to flip the unit over, and there are 6 screws that hold the back cover on, 2 on the top and 2 on each of the sides. Let's go ahead and remove those now. You need a star screwdriver for this. With the screws removed, we'll want to remove the back plate. At this point, the sensors or the gimbal should just pull straight out. There's the one connector, and then that connector has additional connectors to another board. So let's go ahead and remove one gimbal at a time. With the old gimbals removed, we'll want to insert the new gimbals. The Hall sensor will need to go towards the outside casing of the radio. It takes a little work to get it into place. Let's go ahead and do one gimbal at a time. With the new gimbals roughly in place, let's take a minute to connect up the wiring harness, then we'll flip it over to install the screws at least loosely temporarily so that we can work on the new gimbals without having them move out of place. Obviously the big wire harness will go to the big connector, and then we have 2 other connectors, and they're only long enough to reach their appropriate location. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Again, the big harness down towards the bottom, and it only plugs in one way. Longer harness off to the side, smaller one on the bottom. Okay, With the new gimbals in position correctly, let's go ahead and try and put in 2 screws per gimbal just to hold them in place while we organize and make some adjustments. Again, you're going to have to use the screw set that came with the gimbals because the older set will not work with the new metal casing. With the gimbals held in place with 2 screws, we can now dress some of the wiring as well as some of the tension adjustments. Also on the throttle side, my preference is to not have it center on its own. So there is an adjustment that we can make that keeps it from centering. Let me go ahead and show that to you. So if I move the throttle, you can see this little lever that comes up. There's a little hole here, and there's a retaining screw that comes with the kit. We'll go ahead and place that in, and that will free the throttle from auto center. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Now, if you like your throttle to have set positions, all you need to do is tighten up this screw here, and you can hear the difference. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that in because that's my preference. Just going to kind of feel that out. And I'm pretty happy with where that is right now. Okay, we can put the back cover back on. There are probably a couple switches you'll need to push back into their place. Let's do that now. And then we'll slip the cover back on. And we'll temporarily secure the back cover with at least 2 screws so that we can continue to work on it. Once we have 2 screws in, we'll flip the unit over and just make sure that everything is working the way we expect it in terms of the way it feels, and that everything is securely positioned correctly. Yeah, and that feels really good. So let's go ahead and put in the rest of the screws and tighten them up. Once you have the 4 screws holding, securing each of the 2 gimbals, we'll flip it back over and put in our remaining screws to hold the back cover on. All right, let's put the battery back in. Once the battery's been reinstalled and all the screws have been secured, we need to run through the calibration program. So let's turn on the radio.
Welcome to OpenTX.
We'll then press and hold the menu button, and then use the page button to go to the calibration screen. And we'll hit enter to start our test. It's asking us to center our sticks and our sliders. Enter. Once that's done, we're going to move the sticks to their extreme, as well as the sliders. Hit enter once that's done. And that's it. Calibration is complete. We can hit the exit screen. And we should be good to go. Thanks for watching.